Welcome, Alok Shukla. This is going to be a really interesting one. The largest agentic CS deployment in B2B. Welcome to the show, Alok. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Absolutely. I'm excited to join you guys.
amazing. I know you had a special plan for this one. How do you want to take it? Do you want to do a presentation, a demo? What flow are we in?
Yeah, we'll do with something both. Mostly to start with a quick couple of slides just to kind of set up the context, but after that, it would be mostly live product demo. And hope to complete in around 15-20 minutes, and then we can go for an open-ended question answers.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. So I'm Alok, and I'm the founder of FunnelStory. And thanks for hosting me for this Agentic AI conference. So, FunnelStory is almost a 3-year-old startup that is focused on customer support intelligence, primarily focused use case are for post sales, the renewal teams, the customer success teams. And we happen to have developed for almost last 1.5 years, one of the largest agentic orchestration that any of our competitors do in this part of it's part of the vertical that we deal with. So that's why I'm very excited to talk about today, and let's get on with that. Okay, so FunnelStory, as I said, AI native customer support intelligence platform entirely built on agents. And the way we think about agents is a lot different compared to how many of the companies that have bolted on agent looks like. So unlike having a product where you kind of strap on an agent or you do a kind of AI washing on top of that, FunnelStory was created as an agentic platform to do a lot of its work. How the products operates from inside, how the products operates, some of the smaller things it does, how it executes its features, its functions, how it interacts with the customers, customer success teams. The agentic architecture is built into everything. So when we say that you are dealing with agentic swamp, what it means is that any place you touch the product, it's built of agents. So we will talk more about that, but if there are any questions, I would be happy to take them as we go along. Okay, first of all, before we even go into the product, a good thing is to kind of talk about what does even this agentic swarm even achieves? Like if you are with FunnelStory, what it will be able to achieve. So there are many things FunnelStory can do, but broadly, there are key issues that we attempt to solve. Number one, one of the single biggest problems in adoption of any kind of revenue or customer success platform as it stands today, that they take months to deploy, if not weeks. And FunnelStory has literally reduced that time to an hour or a couple of hours. And that is primarily due to the agentic automation, which ensures that it does not require any engineering work. It does not require any professional service. It just builds the entire stack without asking the questions, without requiring to manually have manual intervention. It just does things as the agents are supposed to do. Then FunnelStory has another agent, which basically we called as the prediction agent. It calculates the churn risk or the expansion potential of the accounts automatically every day, analyzing thousands of accounts and generating predictions. That's done entirely autonomously. And it calculates the very unique thing that we'll talk to in the demo. Number three is that, and this is, we are very extremely proud of this, and we accidentally pivoted to this feature. There are a lot of tools in the industry, for example, which are very vertical AI. You have AI Zoom, you have AI on Salesforce, AI on HubSpot or AI on many other tools. The problem that industry faces is that a lot of, especially for large enterprise, faces that they have a swarm of enterprise data. They have uh, unstructured data and structured data living in CRM, support tickets, product usage, bugs, your conversation, your emails, your chats, your notes, you name it. And they are not looking for siloed intelligence or siloed AIs. They are looking for the entire data to work together so that they can search and reason. Part of the search problem, especially for text, was being solved by companies like Glean, Covio. But what FunnelStory has done is goes way beyond that, where we have introduced the reasoning capabilities with these agents. So FunnelStory becomes the first platform in the industry where you can search and reason your entire customer data to a single platform. And I'm extremely proud to show that today. Then we have more things, which are basically about the usual automation, autonomous nature of the tasks that are done by customer success people today, but would be automatically done by AI, and we will show you how they are done. So that's kind of a very quick view of what FunnelStory is capable of doing. And we will touch many of these points, go one by one. Before I kind of jump into the product, there is a conceptual understanding of the product concept that FunnelStory connects with your structured and unstructured data, something I said. And we have a Felix, or what we call our Agentic AI. We have given a name so that it's simple to understand. It basically connects with your entire structured and unstructured data to build a hyper-dense knowledge graph, which is ultimately responsible for all kind of interaction, whether you are out of the box feature or you are interacting to do AI search and AI reasoning on top of that. Okay, so at this point of time, I want to kind of start talking about the product, and I will come back to slides if I need to. So let's start with the first thing, that FunnelStory can connect with your structured and unstructured data, and I want to kind of start with how does that happen. So FunnelStory can connect to all kind of sources of data, whether it's your new style database, your SQL database, or NewSQL database, or all kind of data, simple database inside the house or data warehouses, and host of application. And we keep on adding these applications almost every day. But the interesting part of FunnelStory is that from an agentic perspective, it does not actually care too much about which application you are connecting. It cares about something else. It cares about that it understands your data intuitively. It understands support ticket data, it understands conversation data. So for example, if you show FunnelStory an agent that, hey, this is an app, it will automatically start to figure out, okay, this looks like a conversation data, and these are the apps. For example, I know where conversation data can be available, and I will fetch that data automatically. You don't have to tell me beyond that. I will inquire, I will understand, and I will fetch the data back. And that's basically takes away multiple level of human intervention, which is costly and which is time consuming. The moment you connect the data, for example, FunnelStory will automatically build out this entire configuration in minutes. It will figure out what data, for example, I want, build queries in some of the cases of our data warehouse, what the data looks like, validate it, and just ask you what you have need to done. So entire data configuration and maintenance done by the agent in a matter of minutes, something that takes months to get to this point. From a just efficiency and productivity release perspective, not only it saves money, it saves something more valuable, which is time. So we got the data. Now what we do? The second thing, what happens in a normal customer data process is that you will deploy a tool, and then you will expect some human or somebody who has a deep knowledge of data to explain the data so that the traditional SaaS tools can make sense of it, generate some dashboards, some tooling. But with Agentic AI, you don't have to do that. FunnelStory goes to a next step. When you have that data, it starts to go back in time and create a hyper-dense graph to understand. For example, let's say you connected 10 years of data. Customer connected to your product, customer was chatting in your Slack, or you were sending an email or filing a support ticket, whatever they were doing across all types of customer, all types of users. FunnelStory would go back in time and create a hyper dense graph of understanding all the pathways your customers ever interacted with. There is no tool that does it. We filed a patent for this. And this is done, and by the way, it's not done by any trigger. It is done autonomously. It goes beyond it and starts to understand how your customers get value, who are your best customers, where your customer drop off, which is the most interesting interaction point. So the level of intelligence it generates before even the agent starts talking to you is something that you expect. You expect somebody to know more about your behavior by themselves without spending time just to get extract intelligence out of you. That's power of agentic AI. So what happens is in the first hour itself, data is in, data has been hyperdense analyzed, conversation have been analyzed. We now understand when people chat to you what you were doing before, what you did before, file the support ticket, what you did after, how much time you take, how many people dropped off, pretty much everything, right? And then FunnelStory does another thing, is that it actually has identified the best pathways for your customers to succeed. So if you click on this button, it will automatically generate an adoption funnel based on your historically best data, best pathways your customers have done. And it will generate a pathway which you can just use to drive the new customers for the same adoption journey. Why that is important is because it requires months of consulting work by the companies to build this kind of work, which is done by 9 people in a committee room arguing with each other what is the best journey. And here, the AI and the combination of agentic AI is building that for you, just serving your view in the first 1.5 hours itself. Huge savings, again, money and productivity. So we have done that. Now what we can do next. So the third thing now FunnelStory does, that because it understands your usage, your conversations, your meetings, your chat, your everything, it starts to do what is very normally called as the health scoring. It basically, we hold a patent, by the way, for the only company which combined usage, conversation, external business intelligence, and the revenue data to build predictions. So we provide a score. 0 is that account will churn, 100 is the account will be retained. But here comes the agentic AI comes into place. Remember that for any kind of a revenue person or a salesperson or customer success person, these numbers are just numbers unless explained by something else. So they generally what they do is when they see a bad score, they go across all sources of data to figure out why this is happening. Let's look at the revenue data, let's look at chat, let's look at Gong, let's look at Zoom calls, let's look at product usage data, where the problem might be happening. But in FunnelStory, agent does for you. If you look at this, FunnelStory has automatically created a summary and a diagnosis for each and every account. Let me kind of take you to a specific account for Accenture. So FunnelStory on an every given day basis is analyzing all your accounts and calculating across all your revenue data why account is behaving the way it is behaving. So you basically suddenly save 20-30% of your daily time that you spend on analyzing your accounts. You don't have to do that. Simple. The agent does it for you. So look at this. Data analyzed from product sources, from support tickets, from conversations, and also adding a summary why that might be happening. It doesn't stop there. It's also picking up the data from business side. What maybe everything is good with your product, the business is not doing well. It is also modeling on everyday basis why that churn might be happening, what are the sources of risk. This is entirely agentic. It's building the sense on its own. But now I come to the next thing, which exceeds compared to any other tool in the industry, which have not even thought about this. FunnelStory calculates a leading indicator of churn from your conversations, from your unstructured data. So it is picking up what is called as needle movers. Needle movers are kind of things, think about it like before a revenue event happens, whether it's churn or expansion or upgrade, people start to give you indication in their conversations, follow 3 to 6 more 9 months in advance. They will tell you by their feature request, the pricing discussion, the competition discussion, some hint that will drop. If you catch them, you can get over the problem. If you don't, you will be left behind. And the problem with most of the account executives is that they don't know where to look for that. And can they be on top of researching all the data? But what FunnelStory is doing is, because it has modeled that, its agent is automatically behind the scene, is identifying those conversations which have been known to be preceding churn or expansion events. So, for example, in this case, it is saying we saw that your customers were talking about competition. This is a risk. And they have been talking about repeated too. They have been dropping hints across multiple channels. They were talking about some feature request. They asked us, and their tone is changing. There were some people who were planning to leave the company, or there were some internal reassignments, or there has been operation on some team where the team size might have been reduced. So they have been talking about it, proof with the conversations, or they have been concerned about the pricing. There might be an issue with the contract size. There might be unsustainable pricing model, or there are proof points, or there are tasks. They told you about something, there was a bug in the product. So the issue can be across anything. But the point here is, it's very hard for a one customer success person or a one account executive to do all this research and get this kind of research served to you on a table for each and every account affairs on every day morning. FunnelStory does it for you, taking away a huge workload, and that's an agentic power of agents. But then we go a step further. We don't stop here. So now the problem here is, okay, you gave me the data, but are you expecting me, if I'm a customer success person, to daily go into the product and read all of these things and figure out what are the tasks I need to focus on? Should I talk about pricing? Should I talk about personal change? In which account? It can become overwhelming. So FunnelStory goes the next step. FunnelStory automatically looks at your accounts and identifies what are the tasks that you should be doing. The third level of agent, or fourth level of agent so far, where it is now figuring out, okay, this is the important thing you need to do. This is an account. This is a churn risk. The account is expiring soon. This is important. And basically tells you how you're. So your entire day has been planned in advance with why that account is important, prioritized by priority, low, medium, so that when you come in the morning, all your issues, accounts have been analyzed, the needle movers have been calculated, then further on the task has been created. So the entire workflow has been created. The only thing that you do, only thing you focus on, exactly how you want to be, right? So once we have done that, that's the thing we do. Let's come to the final and one of the most powerful things FunnelStory offers. So all of these things are out-of-box features, which means agents have been programmed to do certain things, build your data, build your systems, analyze them, create your support, do needle mover analysis, create AI tasks, and so forth and so on. But now you can do open-ended analysis, and that's where I was coming to. You should have seen a lot of tools that can do search over your data. But now with FunnelStory, you can do reasoning. Let me kind of give you a few examples. One of the questions of a lot of each customer success people is that, hey, I want to know about feature request. How do I go about it? And you can ask a question, for example, so let's say a customer success person heard from a customer, they are looking for a feature request. You go to your product manager says, I'm not going to solve a one feature request for one customer. I want to build for market, give me a broader use case. How does one revenue person or one customer success person can even make that case? They don't have capacity to go to all product data, all revenue data, all support tickets to even get that analysis. That's where FunnelStory comes in. So let's ask the question. Give me feature request across all accounts for last, let's say, 30 days. This is all live. So what suddenly happened was that you got all the feature requests, but the more interesting part is that you got the information about all the customers who asked for it, and it is also telling you which are the conversation as a proof point. So you go to your product manager and says, I know, I now have, there are so many customers asking for the same feature request, will you do now? There is a different use case. But let's say product manager asks you, no, this data, I need it in terms of how many total number of people are asking for it. Give me a second. I want to know how many people have asked for these feature requests. And I want to know what is the total revenue associated with each of these accounts. So let's say, so the question is, feature request show in different columns, number of customers asking for that feature request, customers, and the total aggregate revenue, because that will create a prioritization. How many people ask for the same thing, but how much money is associated with that? Because that should drive the business. Let's ask it. Okay, we got this data. There is no other tool in the industry which can do this kind of analysis, because now you're stitching data from your conversation with your product data, with your revenue data, combining together in one thing. But now you have to go to the next step. You're saying, I'm not going to just with data, I have to make a more detailed case, more strategic case, why that matters. Okay, let's ask a different question. Create a memo to describe the top themes of these feature requests that I can share with my colleagues, explain the example and references to companies and people asking for these requests. Try to estimate the aggregate revenue associated with company asking for the feature request for each of these themes. So we are going even more deeper. Let's ask this question. At every level, you're not just simply doing searching the data, you are doing a reasoning. You are developing a reasoned response that you can take, because once you have that level of memo along with the data, along with the ask, you have just completed a month work of a product management in 2 minutes. So look at this. That's all for you. So, I mean, I can go deep, very deep into this thing, but I just wanted to kind of talk about that how an agentic product, which is designed for customer superintelligence, looks like, and how many small agents have been baked into the entire product to make it happen. And that's why the theme is one of the largest agentic deployments in any product that has ever been seen. With that, I will stop here and happy to take questions.
That's super impressive, Alok. And before we even transition to the questions that we received here from the audience, I'm just curious, do you even have competitors in this space?
Sorry, come again?
Yeah, before we transition to our questions with the audience, I'm just curious, this is really impressive and holistic use case for CS. And honestly, I'm not sure that I've ever seen like an end-to-end demo like this. So I'm just curious, do you even have competitors, specifically direct competitors in this space?
So I think in this space, we started with customer success, but we are beginning to compete with tools like Glean, Copio, which are into general AI search and space. We are also competing with new companies like Wisdom AI, many of the new vendors that are coming in. I mean, the super intelligence space is pretty new, and you're right about it. So customer success is our entry point where we always do, but I think our product can be used by anybody who cares about customer data.
Now, how do you even define the category?
So I think I'm naming it customer superintelligence. The idea here is think about the evolution of the business intelligence platform, which were used by multiple products, but they were only doing the part of analyzing some of the data, especially structured data. So there is a horizontal expansion, there is a vertical expansion in terms of that now we can analyze both structured and unstructured data with the power of conversational framework. But from a horizontal expansion, we not only analyze, but we can take actions. So think about the BI, which is growing in capabilities, but also expansion into action category, data plus action together. So I will say I'm not very particular about what category it comes into. It's more about what kind of use case we are solving, and that's what will matter to ultimately the customers. From a benefit perspective, customers will see reduced churn. Customers will see actually productivity. I know about a couple of our customers who reported that in just 9 months, they were able to handle twice or thrice the number of customers with the same number of people without burning out. And that's millions of dollars of saving. Please go ahead.
Definitely. One of the questions we're seeing here is how do you ensure alignment between 100 plus AI agents and human CSMs without conflict and confusion?
So that's that's a great question. So that's where our background on how we design these things comes into the being. So all three co-founders actually comes from a cybersecurity background. And one of the things that we have done in cybersecurity is that we had to, and we always had to, work with not enough data, but still work with a high degree of precision. Because remember, if cybersecurity people don't do their job effectively, airlines stop working. We have seen that in past, right? So that's kind of a training of design that we come to. So we have baked in that how do we ensure that the quality of data is accurate, it's secured, and the outcome it produces are predictable. So the agentic swarm actually has agents which produce the data. Then we have agents who test the data before actually showing it to anybody. All the output you're seeing is actually going through multiple agents. So you are asking a question to one agent, which is throwing the data to some other agent, which are doing some part of the analysis. The third agent is taking the data, fourth agent is printing it, fifth agent is quantifying it before it comes back to you. So that was a long answer. Short answer is yes, it has been baked into the design in depth. That's our design philosophy.
On this note, the next question is, what guardrails were essential to keep customer experience personal and not robotic?
That's an interesting question. So, I mean, personal in the sense that they're a part of the product which is out of the box, which is more focused on enterprise workflows. So these are more standard for pretty much all people who use the system. But Felix, when you interact in a conversational format where you want information or assign instruction, that is personal. That understands about what you are asking about. I mean, I have customer success leaders or revenue leaders who are asking those questions that they talk to Felix in a very personal way. Remember, Sam Altman used to say people talk a lot about thank you and please. We see that a lot working with Felix. If that's the question, if that is the intent of the question.
Look, one of the questions here, and actually a couple of them, are focused on resistance internally in terms of adoption, and how do you typically overcome it?
Sorry, can you ask the question again?
Yeah. So what are the biggest points of resistance in selling the software and adopting it within your ICP?
So I think from a technology point of view, we are pretty comfortable. We are extremely evolved right now. I think in general, and I am very understanding of this, that most companies, most leaders still do not know how to make the case for AI internally. How do they justify investment? It's one thing. See, most of the large companies that we talk about AI are B2C, where they are sold directly to individual, whether you're looking for ChatGPT or Cursor or whatever the names might be. But the moment you look at the enterprise, the deployment is much harder because first, not only you need to ensure that the AI is predictable, but what big changes you can actually guarantee. And a lot of my effort is actually helping the leaders make the financial case. So one of the things we launched a couple of months back was an ROI and AI calculator, where we help them how to make the case and what kind of things it can solve and how they can successfully make the case. So that's my single biggest challenge. Is more on the sales side, less about on the product side or adoption side. if that answer makes sense.
Absolutely. And what's next in terms of your roadmap, Log? What are you most excited about, and what can you actually speak to?
So we actually are releasing features almost every month. Our core competency, as we said, is in the data architecture. So we are driven by use cases. So one of the interesting use cases that is coming to us right now is how can we, now we have the data, can we assign some of this task to some of the agents which can now start interacting with the customers. See, I understand that there is a lot of excitement in the industry that agents can interact with the customers. But as I said, my background is from cybersecurity, and I'm very conscious that selling into enterprise, I know customers will be happy with less features, but they will want any agent to be predictable. If a single agent misbehaves while interacting with the customers, that's a wrap on the company's prestige, and also the wrap on the vendor's prestige. So we are being very careful. We are kind of rolling out small incremental change in that effect, mostly not because of technology, more to get the confidence of the buyers in that category. So that's basically is most of the things on a roadmap. Mostly is to introduce agents that are autonomously interacting with customers in a manner that enterprise can adopt them.
Look, as a thought leader in the space, and especially with your background, I'm just curious your thoughts on sort of intelligent transition into a workflow, just like you demo now. Because when we were preparing the summit, we asked all of our community members what topics they're actually problems they're focused on the most now. And a lot of CXOs were specifically mentioning the transition piece. So, what would you advise to all the leaders listening to us now? How do they transition from their existing tech stack to something like you showed us now?
See, I think there are some areas where the value is straightforward. For example, the data analysis, especially in some of, let me kind of take a step back. There are enterprise data that is waiting to be harnessed. Unstructured data has lived in the enterprise for a long time. There was no tool. Search already is there. Reasoning is coming up. That's an automatic case. You don't have to make that transition is easy. So that is something I will say, go for it, test the tools. You will get benefit of whatever you're doing currently. In terms of interacting with the customers, I would say that even though it kind of goes against my own interest, I would say experience caution. Any interaction with the customer has to be predictable. Try out in smaller use cases. Give your customers enough warning that this is something that you are trying out with an agent, so that you allow both parties to settle down in that interaction without rolling out something big. So there are some areas of faster transition. There are some areas for slower transition. Copilot are going to move faster. Direct agents are going to move slower. That's why, based on my experience interacting with almost 500 customer success leaders over the last 1 year.
Yeah, and that's actually my last question here. There are a lot of community members with premium brands, more mid-market enterprise brands, established ones, and they're really cautious about deploying something like this. So the question is, how do you maintain your brand voice and generally reputation and experiment with AI?
Again, going back to that, focus on Copilot use cases more than the direct agent use cases. See, ultimately, I will say that agents require good data to work. If your data is not good, the agent will act irresponsibly. Agents cannot exist because they need some level of intelligence on which they will make decisions. If your underlying data is bad, you are going to have problems. Irrespective of whatever use case you do that, you will swarm people, you will touch people without they having any need for it. So I believe that is the area That's how you should prioritize. So focus on data first, focus on internal use cases first, focus on Copilot use cases first. That way you will reduce the risk. And then go towards the bigger use cases as you go along.
Thank you so much, Alok. Really
Thank you.
fascinating. Love the demo. And just for all of the folks watching, what is the next step? How can we learn more about FunnelStory? Is it a demo? Is there any freemium experience? Tell us more.
I think the best way to do is to come. So I am always available to set up a demo for you, and I can explain to you while live. So go to my website, and there is a link for asking for a demo, or you can do it yourself. But I generally advise do it with me because I can help you out and connects with your enterprise user experience. And I promise you, and I can actually put my word on this, be able to set your entire system, especially on the self-serve demo piece that we offer, in 31 minutes. Deployment of enterprise revenue product in the industry, period.
Oh.
So it would be
Super
time
impressive.
well spent. Thank you.
Super impressive. Thank you again. And that wraps up day 2 of the Agentic AI Summit. Join us tomorrow for day 3, the grand finale. There are a lot of exciting speakers, CXOs, VCs, analysts. And yeah, just remember, we are building the stock market of skills. You can book a one-on-one session, expert consultations, coaching with majority of the speakers on this summit. So yeah, see you tomorrow. And any final words? I'll leave it to you.
For me, I'm pretty excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you soon. Bye-bye.